You're welcome to the Next.Legal Summit. My name is Judge William Chonuka, and I'm an associate at Bytelex Advocate. We'll start by apologizing for the glitch in time. We had some challenges with the venue, but we're glad everyone is here today. So, welcome everyone here. We have our distinguished guests here. We have startup founders. We have investors here. We have people who have been involved in legal technology. We have people from the Uganda Law Society, among other organizations. We have the press. We welcome you to Next.Legal. I want you to leave this place thinking of innovation, thinking cybersecurity, thinking technology, legal technology in particular, thinking funding. We are here to celebrate unconventional practice. We've spent 5 years in the field of startup law. So this afternoon, we are going to do a couple of activities that are guided towards that. Regarding legal technology, we're very happy to be celebrating legal technology in Uganda today, because legal technology has been a very controversial thing because of the way it keeps changing and attacking the legal profession. There's been a need over time to keep reinventing yourselves as lawyers, those who are lawyers here, because as lawyers we serve, for instance here, we serve clients who are very agile, who want things delivered fast. And today, legal technology today has stopped being about technology used in the back office to just help lawyers deliver mail and prepare documents, to something we can use to serve our clients better. A famous lawyer called Richard Saxon once said that the law is to lawyers what illness is to doctors, which basically means that technology and legal practice should be more about us using our skill set to help our clients. So we're here today to launch 4 legal tech products which are about serving our clients better. The delegates we have here are an exceedingly accomplished and talented, innovative bunch. So we're really counting on you to take part of the conversation, online, offline, later on during the cocktail, and also online. We are using the hashtags Bytelex at 5 and the Next.Legal Summit. Those are our 2 hashtags today. So please do take part in that. Whatever the opposite of pipe down, pipe up, we do expect you to pipe up. We also have, and for cybersecurity, we have some research we're launching on cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has become also a very crucial part of everyday life because people are transacting every day, spending money, buying things online, but also for us as lawyers, because I think the legal fraternity holds more intellectual property and confidential business information than any other fraternity. So it is very important for us to protect ourselves, because it's a risk, but then with risk also comes opportunity. So I would officially like to welcome you to the Next.Legal Summit. I wish you all a good day. And we are starting this entire program with a panel, which will be led by our partner, Irene Ojiri. Have a good day.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Irene Ayojide. I'm going to be introduced to the situation. We're so glad to have you this afternoon. We're glad you could make the time to be here. We don't take it for granted. Being very busy people, and we know how Kampala is. There's so many alternative engagements. So making the time to be here for Bytelex as we have this Next.Legal Summit and to listen to our discussions on what we think are the most important issues. We don't take it for granted. Our next audience, which shall be joining us. We hope you can engage in our conversation very vibrantly. The topic for discussion this afternoon is startup and investor discourse, how to finance a tech startup, and exit this startup. This panel discussion is sponsored by the Berkeley Law Society. One of our partners is an alumni of Berkeley, UC Berkeley in California, and he gained a lot when he went for that Master of Laws. So we're glad we could have, of course we are happy to have him since he's the vision bearer for Bytelex. And we want you guys to take something from this discussion as we talk about financing a startup. So I'll get right into it. I'd like to invite the members of our panel this afternoon, starting with Mr. Crispinas Onyacha. Mr. Crispinas Onyacha is the founder of Clinic Pesa Uganda Limited. Clinic Pesa is a very beautiful innovation. It's around it's a financial technology that enables people to save for any healthcare eventualities. So it leverages on the mobile money technology for a person to create an account, be able to save and access that money when they need it for healthcare purposes. Thank you so much, Chris, for being available this afternoon, and we shall take a lot from you in the panel discussion. The next member of our panel is Mr. Joshua Businge. Joshua Businge is one of the co-founders of Matibabu Uganda Limited. Matibabu have created a very useful innovation. It's a blood-free malaria testing kit. Now, for those of us who are afraid of injections, which I used to be some time back, if someone tells you they can do a malaria test without having to draw blood, you're very glad that something like that exists. So Joshua Businge and his partners at Matibabu have come up with this innovation, and malaria being one of the leading killers in Uganda, this is something that is relevant for our time. The third member of our panel is Miss Mary Adoy, the other lady joining me on the panel today. We're glad to have her. Miss Mary Adoy is the local counsel for Renew Strategies. When I say local counsel, I say it in the assumption that you know what that is, but to be specific, she's the local lawyer for an international investment firm, which is Renew Strategies. Renew Strategies is an equity and quasi-equity investment firm that is interested in investing in small and medium enterprises in Africa. They currently have operations in Ethiopia and Uganda. So Mary is going to be bringing the investor perspective to this panel. The last member of our panel is Mr. Ivan Morozi. He is the managing director of Print Border Uganda Limited. Print Border is a printing and publishing company. Now, what the unique thing about Print Border is that they've removed the requirement for you to print in bulk. So they enable you to be able to print for as low as a group of 5 people without bringing in that extra cost that, you know, when you're bargaining with a printer, they always tell you, if you print in bulk, it will be better than printing just a few copies. So Print Border has innovated around that, and in addition, they've innovated around the ordering process. So to get your order for what you want from Print Border, you don't have to have a face-to-face visit. They have an online ordering system. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, and may I have a round of applause for my panel before we get into it. Thank you so much. Now, the reason why we picked this particular topic is because people have thought about using the power of technology to make lives better. There are people who are innovating in the area of health, as we've seen with Matibabu, who have come up with the diagnostics method. People are innovating in the area of finance, and financial technology is something we've all used. I think every one of us has a mobile money account. We've also seen people developing payment systems. There's something like school pay, which enables you to get a number for your child, not have to remember any other details, just put in that number and make a payment. Such things which make our day-to-day life easy. So when we look at people who are coming up with these things, we want to know how are they getting the funding that they need to go to the next level. is the environment. What you keep hearing us calling the ecosystem, is the environment good for them to push on with that investment? Everyone is interested in what's going to be the next disruptive thing, but no one knows how the innovators are getting to that point. So without further ado, I'll get right to the members of our panel, and I'll start with Chris and ask him to give his story on how he started out with M-Pesa and how he has formed the ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Irene. And thank you everyone for being here today. I'm Onyencha Christinus by names, and I'm also a software engineer by profession. I went to school here at Makerere University. After Makerere University, I went into the innovation space just to try to innovate, to create jobs. At the time, everyone is complaining there are actually no jobs. So instead of me going to hunt for a job, I had to look out in a different space whereby at the time, I think Ivan were doing a lot of trying to innovate and create solutions and products. Clinic Pesa not being my first initiative, I'd run something else before. And I remember we used to work a lot with Ivan here. Yeah. So Clinic Pesa came out of it. The story is a long one. Came out of a personal experience, but eventually we had to start by writing up concepts. When you have this idea and you approach people and people say, no, this is crazy, this is for donors, this is for donor institutions, they're the only ones who can actually do this, Then you look at the challenges that are in front of you, actually the challenges that are standing before you. First, you have to build up a company to have reputation, you have to have finances, and all this is not going to come overnight. So we started the journey by, of course, through our first partnership with the German government at the time. And the whole essence was to do research and also strengthen the product. Strengthen the pilot. So we managed to attract Microsoft, US-based, to actually come on ground and help us run a pilot that was majorly focused on understanding why actually insurance penetration is very low, more so for healthcare. That is, it's actually under 1%. So after validating, we also started the journey of how then we scale it through telcos, how do we scale it through commercial banks, how do we commercialize this, such that the end user can be able to actually use the solution. And so that has been the journey. And now today we've these things, finances are not an open, it's not something you're just going to get there. It's a lot of moving up and down. As we'll see, investors are hard to get. Our local investors, they will say you're too early. The question is what is too early, and what is that ready for investment? Because sometimes you could say it's too early and you bypass the too early stage. And of course, when you bypass the too early stage, more so if you've been focused on grant funding, then the question becomes, if you have an investor probably with a small ticket, how does the investor fit in? So we'll be as we're discussing, we'll be probably looking more at that. But more so, Clinic Pesa is now, we're ready to launch we will be launching very soon the scaled platform whereby you'll be able to access it over your mobile money, and you will be able to save and also take up a loan in case you don't have money. So these savings entirely come from your mobile money. You keep them. Of course, they are dedicated for medical. We are registering a network of healthcare providers, and then when you fall sick, you can just walk there. There are no constraints like it's for, let's say for example, you can only use you alone. This is something that you can share with your family. You can pay for a friend. Your loan is basically determined on how probably you'll be using mobile money.
Thank you so much, Chris. You said something in your discussion, and maybe it would not be too early for me to ask Mary to tell us what investors mean when they say it is too early. Chris said at times they've started off and they're developing this application. Then they start to look for funding. And when they approach certain investors, they're told it's too early for us to maybe invest in this. At the same time, they may go beyond the stage where it's too early and they are no longer able to approach that group of investors who maybe have a small ticket, maybe they can only invest up to $50,000. Yet now the venture may be too big for that small investment.
Maybe first I'll say, so I am Mary Adoy, legal counsel for Youth Strategies, and we're largely private equity. We represent angel investors from the US, about over 120 families. In Ethiopia, we entered the market last year. So when you speak of too early, it's something I always discuss with Martin. That's a point that we always take because we usually don't do greenfield and startup. So when we say too early, there could be a few things. The number of users that you have, especially the technology space. When you meet other entrepreneurs in other sectors and let's say we're talking about selling milk, when they discuss and talk to you about the number of customers that they have. And when it comes to technology, your customer is an end user. So you may be I've met people who are very passionate about what they're doing. It's going to make a difference, going to make a change. They've asked for over $4 million US. They want a lot, they're going to do a lot. But you ask, so how many users do you have? And it's 100 users. So, if your mother cooks amazing food, if it's only the family eating, whether you get satisfied doesn't really matter. So probably that's something you have to figure out. And also the type of investor that you're looking at, or even if you're going into grant funding. Some investors, social impact is more important in the finance side of it. For us to do a bit of both, in the discussions, the finance, the figures, the margins, the returns is more important because we have to account for investors. So as opposed to the grant, where we be a bit softer and see the impact in what you're doing. So you have to also figure out who am I pitching to and address your pitch and your conversation towards that. So different investors want to hear different things. So one may say no, and three may say no, but the fourth person will say yes. So it's about figuring out which investor, what exactly you want to be, understand the investor. Because at that point, they are your customer. You can't sell them the idea of your business.
Okay, thank you so much. I think to some extent it's something that probably in the discussion that I'm actually saying an investor will tell you it's too early, sometimes you could have taken a different approach, probably you would have taken an approach of probably partnering with the telecommunication companies. Now, such solutions, the customer base flips over, it's not a normal journey probably for it wouldn't be a normal journey probably for if I am to launch and I start collecting one customer by one, doing promotions and things like that. And at this stage, it's about understanding the context, and what the funding that you would put in today would actually be able to do vis-a-vis if you put it tomorrow when you're saying, okay, now probably some people will tell you get the contracts, but to get a contract probably with a telco is you have to implement all the solutions, building the systems, putting up the infrastructure, all this costs money, Now, this is where the early investor is supposed to be joining you and you walk this journey, The contract is signed on the day of launch, Yes, it's signed when everything is ready to move, okay? Now, when you come in later and you tell now the investor that everything is ready and you're ready to roll, then they will ask you, why do you need too much money yet you have the infrastructure and the systems? The question is, who invested in the infrastructure and the systems? So this is where you needed the early stage investor, to actually come in, probably. It's different from if I am to start as like a small business, and I'm going to walk the journey. Of course, everyone does pilot, okay? And the pilot is majorly focused on a small user group. And this is basically to understand and learn. You've seen how probably corporates launch probably a product. Okay, they will launch a product they will get a huge market coverage. Customer base conversion would be high. It's hard to say that you would actually go after the launch and invest in a 50,000 ticket, or 100,000 ticket. What at that time? What is the value of the company like? And if you have this customer base ready, then the whole discussion actually changes. Yeah.
Okay. From that discussion, I can see that there's of course a lack of meeting point from the side of the investor who's looking for a track record, is looking for a profit, is saying what return do I get on this investment, and the startup is saying the time I most need this money is before I have anything to show for the idea I'm pushing. So maybe that's where the issue is. And I hope over time there will be more specialized investors who can look at a startup and assess and say, this has this kind of future. So, Joshua, to go to you. I know Matibabu has been able to secure funding from different entities. So, Chris has shared his journey, so maybe you don't need to share the entire journey, but you can tell us for the times you've been able to secure funding, what was your biggest selling point and what was the character of your funders?
Thank you, Irene. Again, my name is Businge Joshua, co-founder of Matibabu and computer scientist by profession. So I did computer science at Makerere University. The journey with Matibabu, we started way back when we were still at campus. We had a passion. I'll just share a bit of that, then I come and jump to the question. I think it's very important when you have a venture, you can start as much as early as possible when you can, because there's certain privileges you have. When you're a student, there are privileges you have which you can't have when you left the university. This is the environment you're in, the competitions and the prizes you can win as a student. You may not be able to achieve them when you have left that kind of space. So for us as Matibabu, that's one thing that we took advantage of. Back at the university, we managed to participate in numerous competitions and prizes, which helped us to realize that we had a good idea. Not anything like a product or anything, but we had a good idea. I think for any who's venturing into a startup, I think you always need someone to pat your back and tell you you're in a good journey. And if you stick to it, you're heading somewhere. And that is how we first raised our funding or our first prize money. So we took a lot of advantage of being students, getting into competitions, and raising some little seed, what we'd call maybe angel prize money or investment. And so when we left, by the time we left the university, we secured our first funding, which I can mention because I know these things are out there, the numbers are out there, and I think that was about $75,000, which is quite a huge amount of money. But the way we got that money was interesting. We managed to show that we had a good idea, but also that was backed up by these prizes. That is the simplest way you can convince investors. Investors are like they're like bees. They like to swarm where they see there is an opportunity. So when you are alone and standing in a space whereby you have nothing to show, you have no prize, you have no award, you have nothing, trust me, convincing an investor in that position is very, very difficult. So investors, the priority when it should be put in place when you're in that position. So for us, it was about the prizes we had won, because at the university we managed to win the Imagine Cup prize competition. We managed to have this on our CV, on our portfolio as a company. We took part in other competitions, but then by the time we raised 75,000 grand, that was from Resilient Africa Network, we had shown that we have potential. So we had more than an idea. We had now an idea backed with prizes, then also backed with a prototype showing that we have an innovation we know that can impact and change people's lives. So going back to what I also shared here, is that you need to know who are you looking investment from. when you go to an investor, who's typically any one of us here can be an investor. You can invest in your brother who has a very nice idea, or you can invest in someone. But what's the end goal? If the end goal is looking for making profits, trust me, you won't venture in something like Bytelex, because Bytelex, I'll tell you, we don't have any clients, we don't have any users. But the amount of money you've raised to date is past 300,000, which is a lot of money. So the venture you're doing has to be defined. What they're venturing into. For us, we're in the medical space. The medical space is a journey of patience. So if you approach an investor who's planning to make returns in a year's time, he won't even listen to us, and even us, we won't entertain him in the first place, because we know he's going to demand for something that we can't deliver on. So that's why I'm saying that for us, as Bytelex, we went in for a Center Network, which was looking out for innovations and ideas that are from the university, students who have promising ventures, and then this, according to the portfolio, what we're looking for, we really matched into the right arms. So we managed to raise that money. And even the investors that came on board later on understood our story. So the story we're telling them is a story of showing them we're in a medical space, we're doing a medical device. This is something that we know that has potential, and we're selling that idea. The story is very important, because the story is what, as she mentioned, these investors or these organizations trying to fund you, they're the first clients. The story has to be compelling enough for them to buy into what you're selling them. And what I would also mention on the funding is that most investors don't really invest even sometimes in ideas. If you're looking for investment from investors and some organizations, they don't really invest in your idea. I think they invest in the team. The team is very important. When you have a team that is strong enough, that can show traction, that's why you see when investors come and they're doing a due diligence, as they call it, they want to get to know you, know where you're coming from. They want to know how long have you been working together. Most of the startups fail because they're having clashes with the founders and the co-founders, and they're always clashing, which would be normal if they knew each other for a long time, and then they know how to go around such scenarios, because those are bound to happen in scenarios whereby maybe you've raised some money, and then ideas just come up and people want to use the money the way they feel they want to use it. So investors are really interested in the team. So the team, if for them they're doing a due diligence and they realize your team is weak, that may be in terms of their experience, their portfolio, how long have you worked with each other. These things give them a flag to know that you're not ready for investment, or you're not what they would want to invest in. The reason why they invest in a team is because they know all ideas are likely to pivot. We call it pivoting, but I would say that means if you are venturing into doing maybe a solution to improve the diagnosis of malaria, you may reach along the way and realize, you know what, I don't think it's possible to do something that can solve this problem, but I think we can tweak our technology maybe to diagnose for sickle cells or something. So you realize the investors won't really mind if you pivot, but they will mind, are you still together as a team? Can you push this through? So that's very key for you to raise investments. So from my whole story, I would say that when you're raising investment, know where you are, know the opportunities you can go into. There's always enough investment out there. People are looking where to put money, but if you're a student, prices and competitions are less risky. There's no investment, there's no equity. As you mentioned, for them, they equity. So that means if they're in equity, they want shares in your business. And that means you have to have evaluated your business. How much are you proving your worth? And why are you saying you want 50,000 for 5% or for 20%? So you see, those things, by the time you do them, you can't do them when you're still an amateur in the business. So that's why there is different investment for different levels. And I think that's one thing we would realize as early as possible.
Thank you so much, Joshua, for that insight. Now, I'll go straight to Ivan, who's been very quiet thus far. The unique thing about Print Border is that Ivan has been able, in what we say in startup lingo, to bootstrap all the way. He has not sought, as far as I'm aware, has not sought that party financing. But Print Border is doing well, and I know it has quite a big customer base. So I would like to hear from Ivan how he has managed to do that, because we know most times when people are building their businesses, they have to work a day job. So is this what he's doing, or he had some? Ivan.
Thanks. My name is Ivan. I run Print Border, and the way I've been able to bootstrap is I have a day job, and where do I begin? So the people that know me know like Print Border is like my Raymond, like what, my 10th startup or something. It's since the 8 years I've been in Uganda. So I've learned. I've been a part of many startups that have succeeded and has failed, and I've won C stars. I was part of Akiba, who raised like 0.5, and now it's dead. And so I've been through a lot. I've learned a lot. I've pitched a lot. I've gone through so much to learn that when Print Border came around, I'd kind of gone through all of the mania that we hear from the narrative that comes from Silicon Valley, right? Like, people think that part of starting a company is getting investment. So I had to go through that and fail enough times to know that investment means nothing until a certain point. So when I started Print Border, I didn't even bother with investment or any of that. I just knew that the first thing I had to do was get to my customers as soon as possible and begin that battle. Because in other startups I've done it reverse. I'm like on my laptop somewhere, coding, blah, 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 releasing, fantasizing, pitching, applying for every, Googling, get money for your startup in Africa. The ones that have Googled it know what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. Googling that and then filling out tons of forms, spending my whole weekend pitching companies like hers and wasting both our time because we're nowhere near ready. Gone through it all. Print Border comes around, silly idea. Me and Raymond, we have an idea about how we can disrupt the market because no one's doing small quantity printing. We know that there's a big gap in the market and we can apply technology, blah, 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 to disrupt it. We launch. It begins. And I applied all the lessons I learned. I'm not going to quit my day job. It's going to be a side hustle. Why is it a side hustle? Because when it's a side hustle and I'm not depending on it to feed me, I can sacrifice everything for the customer experience. Because if I get customers that pay me for what I'm making and they love what I'm making, when I approach them, I can negotiate from a position of strength. But when I approach them with just fantasies, dude. With just fantasies. Like, I want to, I will. You give me and I will. I've done that. That's how I know. You give me and I will. Then they just kind of look at you and then you get into that like broke African kid resentment that people don't want to invest in me because you have nothing. So, I know I'm going in circles, but there is a point to all this. Point being, the reason that I decided that this time I'm going to bootstrap, and whatever it takes for me, I don't have a life, I have my day job, my spare time is spent in Print Border. Bootstrapping invests in you a level of discipline about how you're going to manage your time and your resources that no amount of investment can give you. When you're bootstrapping, your dedication to the customer experience is bar none. Your dedication to the people you hire and the processes that you put in place is bar none. Bar none, because it's truth. You can't lie. You either made the money or you didn't. You don't have some 50K investor there ready to finance your delusion. That's why I bootstrap. Now, the last thing I'll say is that I've been a part of enough startups that either were social impact or pure money making or enough to understand that before I go look for investment, I need to know what I'm selling to an investor. I need to know, if you talk to enough investors, you know what, is it social impact? Are you there to make money? So if you're social impact, there's a certain set of investors you can talk to that look for different things. I love money. I'm a money guy. I don't do many social impact things. But when you're in this market and you're not doing social impact, you have a hard road. you have a hard road because you're caught in this limbo where since you're just money making, there's a level of scale that investors need. There's a level of traction that they need that is hard to build in an economy like Uganda. So most investors, even if you have some traction in Uganda and they like your story, they're like, so when are you going to Nigeria? You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're not gonna give me 10x returns in Uganda. You're not. So talk about Nairobi, talk about Nigeria, talk about somewhere other than goddamn Uganda, because you're not gonna make me rich. That's the road I go. So Print Buddha is a money-making thing. So if I want it to survive, I have to bootstrap it, manage my time, manage my resources, and all the lessons I've learned over a period of time have allowed me to build a company that is profitable, that can live on its own, but never would have been if I'd had investment in the beginning.
Thank you, Ivan. I found your story quite interesting. Since I was going to ask, have you ever sold that part of financing? But I see now it's really not an option. It's not something you really can go for at all. But
They kind of won't give it to you.
oh, okay. Well, which really takes me back
If you're not social impact and you're sitting like, yeah, I'm in East Africa and I just want to make money. Social impact, none. I have none. I'm just employing people and making people rich. That's all we're doing.
No, but that's not true. Especially so with Renew, I always talk about it and I say our social impact is in the stereotype of the Black African kid with new girls and crying. And no, increasing jobs is social impact. Increasing the pay that you're going to give the people who you employ is social impact. So it's not necessarily the stereotype. And I think if you've been to enough investors, it's sort of a politically correct thing to ask for, social impact, but notice the excitement comes to talk about the numbers and the figures. So even when we say social impact, we don't need to see a front page of you handing out free food, and that's not it. It is 100 kids. That's not it. It's a great thing to do, but we do recognize that to build the economies and sort of when you scale, when you employ more women in your job, when you go from 5 to 10, when Print Border help a small business, to us that is social impact. It's not a sad CNN story. So yes, social impact does not really.
I agree 100%. And I know I've talked too much, but let me just say this last thing. That is what I truly believe real impact is. We've gone from 2 people to about 11 employees. The average age is under 25. These are young, hardworking kids that had no other opportunity. But we see that brilliance, and me and them have built a company. That is true impact. All the people we buy supplies from. But when you're applying to these online forms, there's no box for that. You see what there's like.
You don't have an online form.
Let me get you.
They'll take the discussion off stage. But maybe since our time is fast spent, I would like us to jump into the exit side of the question. I know since you're an equity and quasi-equity fund, you have exit timelines for some of your money. So what options are available for you to exit, and what have you employed within the East Africa for that, if any?
If any. So for Renew Uganda, we just joined last year, so yet to even think about exiting. Our timelines are usually 3 to 5 years. So in Ethiopia, we've got a portfolio of over 13 companies, and we're just making our first exit. So been in for a while, about 5 years with one of them. So for Renew strategies in our private equity is we want to see growth in the companies. So even when you read companies, you don't want to hear a company wanting working capital to make, in the day's end. We want a company that sort of wants to grow, and like you say, we're excited when we hear, we're moving from Uganda to Nairobi. So we want to see that growth. And so for exiting, we usually our contracts the best is that you can buy us out. Is that after 5-7 years, what we've been able to do with you and the journey we've taken with you as private equity, because we become your partners, is you're able to afford to buy us out. And we get our 25% return, and you can buy us out. Or better yet, we came in, because on average our deal of $200,000. So we came in, we grew you. We want 5 when you're leaving, you can attract the $10 million because you're doing better. So we want to go the journey with you so that as the company is growing, it's sustainable and at the point of exit. And even for the best case scenario for many private equity firms, you go to the IPO scenario where you have the public coming and have bigger companies as we open up because of growth.
But maybe Mary, still to stay with you. Having the public come to companies for Uganda, I think has only been
For Uganda, no. That's just the
Alright. So I was really wondering about this initial public offer for a smaller startup, and it seems that's the large and the simpler, for the simplers and the bigger corporates of this world. Okay, before I wind up the panel, I hope you've been listening, and we should go right after the next question. We shall be taking some questions from the audience, if any, as well as our live stream audience. You could have sent your question through our social media platforms, that's Facebook or our Twitter or our LinkedIn. So if you've sent a question to any of those will be passed on to me. So one last question, which shall also be answered by Mary, in regard to local investors. From your experience, have you been able to get any money that is not coming from overseas to invest in our companies? Are you managing any funds by high net worth persons who are Ugandan or any?
So unfortunately, we Renew Strategies we represent families in the United States, so these are largely American, and we have few Europeans. But in the discussion in the private equity space, when we get together with different investors, there is a push, especially for the Ugandans who are employed in the market. There's a push to want to involve the local investors. Local investors who are keeping their money in the investment clubs, you're keeping all your billions and billions in the bank, and we're trying to have a connection and let them know they're actually businesses here that have money. Because most Ugandans will go into the real estate and do the farming. They're not looking at the entrepreneurs and the business, the potential in the economy. So I guess it's also something up to the entrepreneurs is don't just look for those investors. There are investment clubs among your peers. People have raised, you can even start, people have 200 million plus, you could start, that could make sort of a change. So it's something that we do notice is a challenge. There's not much local investment, but local investors, many people in the space, it's more foreign capital. But there's definitely people who are interested in seeing local investors participate.
And Chris, since you have the mic, have you been able to get any interest from local investors?
From interest from local investors, I would say yes, but we also get to choose investors. It's not the other way. It's not a one way. It's you look out for either interests. The investor might be looking for ABC. You also need to align yourself. If the journey is to also get ABC, you need to have the same goal because it's like a marriage, and you're in the journey for a long time, and I would say in the locally it's hard to secure funding, it's a journey, it's a long journey, frustrating, sometimes, because we also have by the investors who might not be having the money ready, and you might have the hype of going through the due diligence. Then at the end you realize that there was no money yet, So there is frustration, which actually now brings entrepreneurs in a position of not knowing which investor has the money and which investor does not have the money. There are so many investment firms that have been set up. Others could be starting as well. So it's hard to know who has the money, So it's a challenge, It's a challenge. Yeah. So even as we start looking at, let's see a little bit of your portfolio. Let's see who you last invested in, things like that. So it's a whole journey of its own, yeah.
Thank you so much. So right now, I'll take 2 or 3 questions from the audience. Your question could be directed at any of the members of our panel in relation to our topic. Of course, we don't expect any personal questions. So kindly, George can move the mic around and get any questions from the audience. Then we shall wrap up the panel.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us here. My name is Andrew Williams, and the managing director for Parental Africa Limited. Parental Africa Limited is actually based education. So we try to kind of bridge the gap between parents and students and teachers and parents as well. I really don't have questions to ask. I'm just trying to make kind of additional points where you said something like concerning bringing investors in. So for me personally, I think there could be a kind of misunderstanding in terms of your goal, what you really want to solve. Because for me, I'm kind of focusing in solving the problem. So the man who wants to come and invest is probably thinking of, hey, I just want to make money. So you really want someone who shares the same idea, someone who wants to solve problems, not necessarily to make money. And getting that kind of person in Africa is really hard. So for me, personally, what I kind of did was I kind of diverse the idea, start something else, try to raise cash in at least one, then later come back to the real plan and then move forward. Because the idea of really bringing somebody in to come and invest here in Africa is completely, for me, it's completely out of question, because you will have to consider the idea, the solution, the desire to solve the problem. And for me, what I think my company is all about is bridge the gap between parents, school and students and parents as well. So the idea of really going out there to look for somebody to pour money on you, I think you will solve that problem if you decided to start small and then grow, and then later you go to the straight point, because what is key is the solution, and investors are not interested in that. They just want to make money.
So for that, I just want to put up a problem. There is it's not necessarily that when local investors have a lot of things they're actually looking out for. And there are also international investors who are actually very, very interested, and they would kind of understand the whole journey. So it's about someone understanding and appreciating, understanding and appreciating, and understanding the context of the raise, or whatever raise you're actually raising. So the other thing is, you would get an investor who would probably not regard the grant funding raised over time. So it's a challenge as well. So because if you raise, like, let's say you raise a small ticket of 50,000, or 100,000, but it's equity vis-a-vis a grant. This is all tough money to use. It's all tough money to use. It all needs back. It has KPIs. It also has what is required to value for the money. The same thing that the investor also would be looking out for. So I would say it's something to do with it's something to do with the market and how the investors actually perceive the whole journey. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Any other question from the audience before we take questions from our social media platforms?
Thank you so much. My name is Sarah, co-founder of Akaboxi, a digital financial inclusion system for smallholder farmers and communities. Many times investors have been overwhelmed. I'm not an investor, I'm just a startup also, but I've seen and I've had many challenges, especially when it's a good idea, investors are overwhelmed and they surprise you with a lot of money. And 6 down the road, 1 year down the road, the company is gone and there's nothing to show. It's a big challenge. So how can we calm it down? Which solutions can we have for such challenges?
Is that directed to anyone in particular, or should I have Mary answer that?
Okay, so the issue of getting too much money and you're getting diluted and the companies are shutting down. So there's always two schools of thought in this. Like he says, either you're doing the social impact and you want to make a difference, or you are going the economic route. And figures need to make sense. So if you have valued your company and you know your growth, there is no way you're going to accept $1 million from me if you're making only 10 grand. And I want my return in 2 years, because you definitely cannot make them up. If the figures don't seem to add up, you probably say no to that. So you need to also be very clear about what you want and your strategy and where you want your company to go and how you want it to grow. So understand your financial model, understand your business plan, have a lawyer in your WhatsApp group, have a finance person in your WhatsApp group, and always get that information. And it's okay to say no to investment if it's too much. Because even there are instances where someone is looking for investment and with the amount of money that we bring in the risk, we're going to take majority share. That's not something that you want. And you meet someone else who knows the company is great and sort of want more for yourself, but they know where they're going, they know their growth, they've seen their figures, they know their projections, and they'll say, no, give me less so you can take less. So I guess it's also saying, don't be greedy, but yes, know exactly where you're going to have a strategy and a clear aim. Think 5 years, think 10 years for the company. So that if someone comes and it's something that you're not yet ready for, you can always say, there's always money around.
There's a question that came in from Twitter that was directed to Chris, Joshua, and Ivan. When you have started your company and you want people to come on board, either as employees or partners because of their talents, how do you motivate such people without finances? I don't know who wants to go first on this one. We want to know how you're handling the staff retention challenge.
Okay, it's not an easy take. First of all, the same way you would go pitch to an investor is the same way you would go actually pitch and buy in this person. If they believe in your vision, if they believe in the goal, in the mission, and what actually you're trying to achieve, and you have a clear direction, they might be willing to give you a bit of time, before they actually burn out. Yeah, there is a little window, a bit of time before they burn out. Then you also need to be careful not to issue out equity to someone who, in the name of getting them to work with you, with someone who is not going to stay with you tomorrow. Yeah, because it's also not good for the company. You need everyone with a little bit of equity to continue pushing the vision forward. So it's a hard call. So motivation for us could be paying out probably in equity, but you have to have the money on the other side. Because if you don't have the money, forget. You're just going to have a person for 1 month. How you're going to keep the person the next month, I don't know how, but you have to have a little bit of because they need to finance. How do they get to that place? What do they eat? So there are things that you need to put. If you can cater for those things, and you stay straight to the vision, and they are really bought in, then they could be able to be willing to stick with you to move a little bit further.
Yeah, sure. So I've done enough of these to know, I don't even play that silliness of, come on, I'll give you equity. I don't give out my equity, it's meaningless to me. You can't go home and tell them that, but the guy, here's Ivan's equity. It's meaningless. You can't eat my equity. You can't eat anything. So for me, part of bootstrapping is having that honest reality that I've done this many times, to where I have my day job or I have my other businesses that bring in income, and part of that income goes directly to paying the salary for someone in a startup on bootstrapping. And it's a sacrifice for me, but I've learned the hard way that I need to make that sacrifice so that I can get a minimum viable product as soon as possible. Because that paying him and keeping him is a means to an end, so that a customer can prove if this is worthwhile. So I don't waste my time anymore selling people vision. I've tried it. This is going to be the greatest thing. We're the next WhatsApp. We're the next Facebook. Come on board. I know you don't have money for transport to come to Outbox. It's fine. We're in this together. I'm laughing because I've done it. So the answer to the question is, just don't even waste your time. If you can't marshal the resources to get someone to work for you, don't waste both of your time, because you're both going to get frustrated. So find the money somehow, some way, or if you can find someone that you and a buddy that believe in it enough, and see what happens. But when you're starting a company with someone, make sure that if you're doing this equity thing, that they have another source of income. If they don't waste your time with them, because when they get a source of income, they'll leave you. They will.
That's the hard truth. Okay, just lastly from Joshua before we wind up the panel.
So I think with that question of how you can finance employees yet you don't have money is a very interesting question, because I think, as Ivan is sharing, the best way, I think the easiest way, I've done this with Bytelex. My first company, we were so excited. We were starting up a company, we were in school, and we gave each other equal shares. And I can tell you that's not turning out to be interesting. So what happens is that I realized that the best way you can do it, you can give people shares as they work. That's one. I know they don't eat equity, and in Uganda, it takes, I don't know any company that's going to get an IPO or going public. So that's when equity makes sense. Either you're selling your company or you're getting an IPO. That's when equity would make sense. So meaning you have these shares in a company that really don't really mean much because they don't put food on the table. But that's the only way if someone feels they have maybe a foothold in an organization or in a company when they really have shares. So what that does is that, as they've said, get someone who's employed. When someone is employed and they're getting money somewhere else, find a way of convincing them to give you like 2 hours, 4 hours of their time to your company, with hopes and promising them that maybe you'll get somewhere. If they buy into that, then you have them. Then when you go to the lawyers will structure it very clearly that in a year, maybe you're promising them 5% shares, but based on the milestones you've set, this person is maybe a software engineer, maybe he's a business analyst, they'll be getting 1 share per year. So in 5 years, they'll have their 5 shares if they continue working with you. I think that's the one way I have done it. That's from my experience, and I think it moves on. I just wanted to mention this small thing about startups and bootstrapping, because the bootstrapping really makes it interesting. I think it comes back to what you're running. Your company, if you're running a company and you know it's a long shot, even if you bootstrap your company, like you can't bootstrap our company. No, we don't have that money, so you wouldn't make it. But also, other thing that matters is that if your exit strategy is getting an IPO or is getting selling your company, the investors will always tell you getting venture capital is the way to go, because it will increase the growth of your company very fast, and then you will sell it quickly. And the other thing is that if you're looking at having a company as your retirement plan, and this is something you're trying to build and enjoy, and maybe you leave it for your ancestors and also your grandchildren, the best way you can build that company is by bootstrapping. If you have investors on board, you have venture capitals on board, they are going to come and tell you different things that they want you to implement in your company, which you yourself are not comfortable with in the first place. So the end goal matters. If you're looking at growing a company and enjoying it, bootstrapping is the way to go. It takes long to grow, but you know the moment you're up there, it's your company. It's your rules. It's like your family. You're running it the way you want. But if you're planning to sell the company after 5 years, you're planning to get an IPO, then I'm advising look for venture capital. Get people to buy equity. Get people to buy some shares. Sell shares, invest in your company, grow it fast and sell it, because that will make it easy for you to move forward.
Okay. Chris, I will not allow you to comment at this point since we are out of time, but I will take one last question. I'm told there's one last question, and whoever is answering it, I'll give you only 1 minute to get to your answer.
Okay. Hi. I am Kea Nicholas, Director of Enter Africa and East African Records. So the former is a gaming company and the latter is a music company. Both industries are extremely tough in Uganda. Not because we don't have creative people, but because the way we are taught through school is to work towards getting a job in an office where you work from a certain hour to another hour. We are trained to work for somebody. And in these industries, these are creative people. You know, they like to have fun with what they do. But the issue is trust. And there's no trust in the government, there's no trust in the economy. The individuals themselves don't trust themselves. For example, before I rose to this level, I was a musician like my other people, my clients. And I wrote a song and put it out there in the market, and the song was working, right? And I wrote another song, and it was working. And I was building a reputation on that. And then, before I know it, when I Google my name, I see Care Nemesis. Like the way you Google Drake, you know, like someone behind was actually in charge of my interest online, which got me thinking. I had no idea that could happen. I started thinking, okay, how is this possible? Care Nemesis signed to Africa Entertainment. I click Africa Entertainment, and you will not believe it, they own almost 98% of all musicians in Uganda. And a lot of musicians in Uganda have no idea. So what they do is they hoard the entire music, right? And then they leverage that to big companies like the Orchard. And the Orchard is an independent company that started out as a company that collects a lot of music that hasn't been that doesn't have a copyright yet through the legal system, right? And so they get this and put it through the movies and the games for syncing rights and stuff like that. I had no information for this, but I was, learning as I went by, clicking and writing to them, trying to find out. And I found out that the Uganda Performing Rights Society, which is supposed to, to protect this music, is actually the culprit. And so I had a lawyer who, a farm. I had a farm who were like, you know what, we're going to do this for you for free because it's a win-win. I wrote to the Orchard wrote back. They said, hey, UPRS did it. UPRS offers a blanket license for musicians in Uganda, which they have no mandate to because what they signed up for is only for their members. Clearly, I'm not a member of UPRS. UPRS will go out on the street, find you playing someone's music and say, hey, who told you to play that music? And take the equipment. Nobody asks them why.
I'd like to kindly request that you get to the question.
Okay, my point is, how do you bring trust in a mafia state? How? No, we wrote to UPRS and say, hey, why did you do it? How did you do it? They just duck the questions. And this case is going on in 4 countries. So UPRS packaged my music, sold it to Africa Entertainment in Kenya. Africa Entertainment sold it to 51 Lex Records in the UK, which then sold it to the Orchard in the US. Now, I am a small guy, and even the farm that wanted to do it for free, they can't because they don't have the resources to bounce. So what do you do for all the 98% of the King Sahas and the comedians who have no idea that they're being screwed today?
I don't know if the members of our panel are in position to answer this particular question. How do you deal living in a mafia society? I think Ivan is ready to take it on.
Hi, it's Ivan. I can't speak to, let's say, the exact legal advice on how you maneuver like that, but I'll tell you what. Creating anything, and delivering value to someone that you don't know is extremely difficult, regardless of the environment. So, I basically grew up in the US where things are controlled, things are understood, everything makes sense, there's a rule of law, everything's objective. Then I come to Uganda and I try to do business. And doing business in Uganda is a completely different animal. So, faced with all the challenges that come with trying to deliver value, you're a musician, you're trying to deliver value to end users so people can enjoy your music, but you're dealing in an environment where the copyright laws that other markets have benefits of are not respected, right? So I'll tell you what I tell myself, right? Which is, when I get into the self-pity about how hard it is to do business in Uganda, right? The realest answer I can give myself is that I have to understand the rules and play within them. And when I can't make a living or deliver value by the rules that are in play, when I can't change them, I have to do something else. Or I have to hustle it out. That's the short answer. I have to hustle it out, one way or another. And that applies to whether it's music or something else or whatever it is. Like, even let's say in print board and all the things I've tried, you have to do with taxes, you have to do with importing. You import something today, the tax is 26%. You import it 2 days later, it's 45%. You can't appeal, you can't talk to anyone. Your margins are destroyed. This month you made money, last month you didn't make money on this product. Because you don't know what the law is. No one will tell you what the law is. But you hustle it out. And as an entrepreneur, that's the blessing and that's the curse.
Thank you so much, Ivan. And I think that's a beautiful way to close our panel this evening. Thank you so much for being a beautiful audience. The discussion can continue on the social media platform, and of course, at the cocktail, you'll be able to have a one-on-one with any of our panelists. That will ensure that they do not run away after this panel discussion. So you can approach them and ask them any question you're interested in. Right now, I'd like to invite George, who is our program manager for this evening, to take us to the next program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Irene. Yes, I think we will agree that this panel was quite insightful. I request that we give the panelists another. Yes, when we were coming together with this panel, our intention was to have your curiosities piqued, your assumptions challenged. I just hope we achieved that for you. We are going to have a poem from Arinda Daphne. Arinda is a public interest lawyer who has also written, told stories, and also performed at The Hague, performed in Kisumu, and here in Kampala. She refers to herself as a revolutionary who is fearless. So let's give it up for Arinda. Please continue the conversation. Our handle is @Bytelex. Our hashtag is still Bytelex at 5. So we'll...
Good evening. I'm going to perform a poem titled Engagement by Bytelex. In a universe obsessed with unilateral existence, there can be parallel existence. Raymond started a long-distance relationship with this other chick. Then it was hard to think that he could do them both. The first chick was legal, but this second chick was the it, or as you might say, information technology. Technology framed his mind and birthed Bytelex. By text, he told his friend Martin, "Hey Martin, might I suggest a mighty dream?" And Martin might have said yes, he's the other founder. 5 years later, Bytelex is a mother in 5 other states. You might say she spread her love wide, her partners don't mind. It's an affirmation that Bytelex is a 21st century chick. It's why she's in the Century Cinemas. You see, the thing with 21st century chicks is they run the world. We do. And can you believe she's had 500 engagements? This chick, Bytelex, she can serve you and save you all the hassle of compliance when you use her portal called Access. Bytelex. Bytelex. This is another engagement, and we wish her many, many, many more engagements. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Yes, right about now we are going to hear from our managing partner, Raymond Asimwe. Raymond Asimwe is going to tell us a bit about the history, the new milestones that we plan to set up for the farm, and the legal technology products that we'll be launching today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming and joining us today. It's humbling to be before you. And it's already been 5 years for us. So I'll just tell you a story of how we've grown and why we are here today. Many of the things that we've talked about right now are laying a framework for the rest of the program. So in 2014, I was a student at Macquarie, and around the time I was finishing up, but I used to go to a couple of technology events. By the way, that was around the time I met Ivan. So you could say Ivan Morozi is one of Bytelex's oldest clients. And there was so much optimism in all these incubation hubs. For those of you in this space, you probably know. We've seen so many of these incubation hubs. Some come, some go, some stay. And one of the things we're noticing, there was so many ideas, as is the case today. There were a few investors, and still the road to funding was still, it was very challenging to get the financing. But one of the things that sparked curiosity was there were the rudiments of a potential successful ecosystem. I mean, you had minimum funding on one side, you had a few brilliant guys coming out of the university with computer science degrees, and together you would imagine that, this is the start of something. I mean, this company should be going somewhere. But then you'd look around 6 months down the road, you wouldn't see these companies. So I then asked myself, what was the problem? What was the issue here? And I remember very well, one of the things that I did, was to list the different problems that I kept getting from founders. So I'm sure you've had some of the things that we have been talking about here. Ivan, Joshua, thank you so much. That is part of what we've had, even at that time. A few things have changed since, and part of the reason why we're here today, we don't just want to do a lot of the talking. Later on, you will see how we have innovated for this ecosystem, and we are launching some of the products at this event to kind of be a solution in this ecosystem. So, to cut the long story short, really, I'd like to say 5 years down the road, as a firm, what started as an idea has expanded to a couple of things. I mean, right out of university, the early stages of that ecosystem formed our idea to form a law firm that was just focused on tech companies, startups. And for so long we did that. And we also offered our services free at first on Twitter, for those of you who don't know us. In fact, I did it myself. So I remember during that period I was preparing for my LDC, I used to spend so much time on Twitter trying to answer a couple of questions for these companies. And then that quickly moved into something that was great, because in just a month, we had about 100 followers. That was little. But for me, it showed that there was something. There was something that people really cared about this. And so we were still not sure how we would really offer services to these kinds of companies. I mean, you've had how things are. So we decided to offer our services free for about 6 months. And that helped us understand how to build these companies, how to work with them, to be able to provide value, but also be able to build a law practice around that. And we did that, I mentioned, for about 6 months, but the results have been amazing. We now know how to charge these companies in the market. And then we have since moved into an office. And not just that, we've expanded our operations to 2 countries. We have an office in Uganda. We also have an office in Rwanda. But I've also done some transactional work in Ghana, Kenya, and that has helped us get a certain level of experience handling these different deals. Now, to just give you a recap of the statistics, we've had about 500 engagements. And by this, I mean, let me throw the slide up with the statistics. So we've had about 500 engagements. What that means is it's not planned, but those are the different things that we've been able to work on, right? And we've done all this in about 5 countries that I really mentioned, and then across 11 industries. And of course, with about 100 startups, ranging from those that are pre-financing or early stage to those that have raised as much as $1.5 billion financing. And for us, it wasn't so much about, it was so much about maybe understanding what do these companies need, right? What solution can you provide? And for the last 5 years, for those of you who know us, we've been kind of learning, you could call it a period of understanding the ecosystem. We've not been so much out there. In fact, I sat next to some people here and they're like, I've never heard of those guys. Who are they? It wasn't that we couldn't throw ourselves out there. We didn't know what we're offering. But we'd like to think in the last 5 years we've learned what we should be offering. And the results have been amazing. We've worked on some innovative products and services for our clients. Don't take my word for it. These guys, our clients, just have a private chat with them. Then they'll tell you what they think. But I just wanted to throw that slide up that shows the different things that we've been able to work on briefly. Yeah. So most of those things we came up with. We've had to create them from scratch in the market because they made sense for the ecosystem and they worked. Some of them. What Joshua might have left out, his company is a biotech startup. Biotech startups are very interesting in the sense that they take a while to actually make money because for the first so many years they spend so much money investing in them and pouring in the money to just get the medical innovation right. Because the reason is you're going to actually impact people's lives. If you get it wrong, people die. So you have to go through a couple of approvals before you get anything off the ground. So working with them, we've been able to create a couple of models that help them, raise financing and at the same time continue to be afloat. And that's been our experience. So for us, it's been a journey of transformation. And that is why we're here today. Today we want to unleash our brand to you, to show you that we've undergone a transformation. Perhaps the best thing that we can compare ourselves to is a butterfly at this time. If you think about it, it starts from an egg and then it goes through a couple of stages before it flies off. And that is why you'll notice in our logo, if you look very closely, we're rebranding to that because we relate with it in a very unique way. And there is no better way than to express ourselves than through the video that we had our clients at Elupe create. Please.
For years, we basked in the shadows, learning the nuances of our ecosystem, arming and gearing towards laying a platform for our unconventional clients. With radical solutions while providing opportunities of growth, protecting you when you're most vulnerable as you look forward to your major takeoff. Now operating in 5 African countries and flying higher. We pride ourselves on leaving lifelong excellence wherever we land. At Bytelex, we have committed to building ideas and spreading wings.
Opportunities to innovate have always inspired us. as I mentioned earlier, for the last 5 years, we've been learning, and that has helped us to innovate as a firm. This evening, we promised that there are a few things we wanted to give back to the ecosystem. I'd like to start with financing, a very critical topic, as you noticed this afternoon. One of the things we've learned, and I think this also came out very clearly from the panel, early stage financing, not just in Uganda, but also across the East African countries we've worked with, is still a challenge. So we thought around this, and I'm not talking about the big term sheets, the Series A. Forget that. I mean, what is clear here, you need some cash to get something done, whether you're going to pay people to do for you the innovation, or whether you just need to be able to pay even the basics, server space, and all that stuff. So we thought around that, and we noticed, and we've had back and forth with different investors. And one of the things we noticed is there is actually no benchmark instrument that people can use to secure an investment. There's so much noise about the term sheets and Series A, but no one has actually thought through, assuming I came to this company and it's really young, how do I invest in it? They don't have early revenue. They don't have anything. So how do I invest in it? So I've designed what we call the shield. So the shield is built around the current challenges we have in the ecosystem. And what it is, for those of us who practice law, we call it an equity warrant that basically takes advantage of two things. One, we thought about the early stage investor. What incentive are they looking for? We know at this stage, the company can't promise much. There isn't any revenue. But maybe it could promise something in the future. It's possible. Maybe it could get somewhere a few years from now. And if it's big enough, like Print Border has grown, and so many of these companies, then at that point, if someone comes by and says, we are interested in investing in that company, then the early stage investor should get a reward for that. So the shield is designed to create an incentive for early stage investors based on the fact that, and conditioned on a future round of investment that the company might get. And then the other thing we did and we thought about was, for the startup, what is usually the challenge? Well, the biggest is they're not investor ready. They don't have the documents, they don't have the capitalization tables, they don't have a couple of things that we think investors always ask for. So, what if it was possible to promise someone equity in the future and not worry about all that stuff? The shield makes it very possible. In essence, you promise someone that you're going to give them equity in the future. And that is conditioned upon a future event. It's up to you. You could say the future event could be if you're making these sales, or if you get the next round of investment. And so that's the background. We find that this is East Africa's first early stage instrument. And we've been so excited because since we did it, we've had a couple of partners that have joined us and are saying, we think we want to use this. Please throw up that slide. I'm happy to say that 250 startups, Founders Campus is adopting it as their instrument of choice. And then the Angel Business Network, we're working with them closely, and it's something they're interested in as well. So that is where we think the future of financing is at this time. So the shield will be available on Bytelex in the next few weeks. So keep checking our website. We should put it up in 2 weeks. It will be available for everyone to download. We are not charging anyone for it. One of the other things that we've been thinking about is comply with an investment, and I think Adoy will agree with me on this, there's a bunch of things you have to give. There's a whole checklist for the legal stuff. There's also another checklist for the finance stuff. It's so hard to put all this stuff together, and entrepreneurs struggle with this continuously. So we thought, what's the best way to do this? How can we make entrepreneurs comply with due diligence requests and maybe legal requirements? And this is why we thought of an innovation that could change this. To tell you all about it, Trust, please come on stage.
Thank you very much. It is an honor to stand before you in the presence of great minds. So I want to thank the managing partner for giving me the opportunity to present to you the second product. It is a unique innovation, if I should say that, from the wonderful team at Bytelex, and it's designed for our clients. Bytelex is a law firm, obviously, but in essence, we've been a startup. So we understand we've been through this process, we've lived through it. We understand the challenges that come with it. As he has mentioned, due diligence. Investors will always want to go through that due diligence process to see how organized you are, to see who they're investing in. So at Bytelex, due to our experience, our own, but also through working with our different clients, we note that as innovators, most times, we focus on the enjoyable things, the things that we love. If it's designing our prototypes, those are the things we enjoy. The paperwork, we don't really enjoy that, so sometimes we forget about it because it's a start. Most times you don't know what's ahead, you may not know what you need. But at Bytelex, you have a friend, and we thought for you. And that's why we designed this product. Please say goodbye to those worries you have, those last minute fumbling of, have you seen this file, the investors need it. And please say hello to Access. Access is a unique innovation, as I've said. It's a cloud-based solution. That is what is unique about it. It's designed to be a storage platform for each individual client. It is uniquely designed to you. Some of the features, because Access is really based on three things which we thought of. We wanted something that is systematic, something that is simple to use, and something that is secure. Simplifying this due diligence process. So one of the features of Access is to help you to quickly store all these documents that you might need at a future time. But not only just storing them, but in a thematic way, in a systematic way. If it is alphabetical, if that's what you prefer, maybe color, if that's what you prefer, but they are thematic. And that eases the time when the due diligence comes up, it makes it quicker for you to find those documents that you might need. Also, another thing, if Access gives you a platform to quickly collaborate with a lawyer, if you've loved working with our managing partner and you don't want to involve me, you don't want me to know what's going on, you can quickly collaborate with the managing partner using Access without having to come to the office and all that. Also, those investors, the times when they ask you to provide these documents, without having to go to meet them face to face, you can easily forward all these documents using Access. It's quick, it's going to ease those pressures, those worries. Aside from the investors, there are legal compliance requirements. Once you become a company, you have to file your annual returns, and what have you. Access is designed to always remind you those moments when you're busy and you're looking for money, you're worried, maybe you don't think about all that. Access is designed to remind you, so you receive notifications when the time comes for filing these important documents. But I know this is boring, me talking is boring, but we created a video to demonstrate simply how Access works. This short video in this example, this is a simple company minute book, and those are the thematic folders that I was talking about. So once you access your Access, this is what it looks like, and it's really very simple to use, and it makes the compliance very easy. I don't want you to take my word for it. I know I'm in the presence of very gifted minds. I want you guys to be the judges yourselves, and you have the chance to do that when Access becomes available. Please keep checking our website. It's going to be available very soon. Thank you very much for listening. I want to keep the excitement going, and we've prepared some entertainment for you. I hope you're ready for that. The next performer on the stage is a very gifted artist, a young artist. He's a singer, he's a songwriter, but he's also an instrumentalist. It's not very easy to have a person who can sing and write their own songs, but also play an instrument. So today you're going to have the benefit of experiencing a full package artist. So please welcome to the stage the musical stylings of Jason Mionjo. Thank you.
So my name is Jason Mionjo. I'm a singer, guitarist, a songwriter. I'm a visual artist as well. The song that I'm going to sing is called Don't Lose a Beautiful Thing. I wrote it after, I think it was around the time Bobi Wine had been arrested. And I was on Twitter watching my timeline and seeing how sad people are. But what I noticed was people kept on saying they were tired of Uganda. You know, in that moment I realized people were not separating the state from the government, you know. People saying, I want to leave this country, I hate this country. And I felt like, man, slow down. This is your home, you know. So I wrote this song for, there's something Nina Simone said, that an artist is responsible, you're supposed to be the voice of your time. And I felt people needed to hear a song like this. So I'm going to slow it down so people can hear the word that I'm singing.
Transfixed, addicted to the fancy. They know that I am this summer captive to the glamour in the magazines. Flashy lifestyles I see on TV screens. No, that's not enough, I need the validation just to get some self-esteem. I'm looking for the likes, follows, like an occupation. To be admired is my dream. Yearning for more, yearning for more. Everything I have I always ignore. The grass seems greener on the other side, and I wanna make it mine. Stop for a minute, life celebrated. Live in the moment, meditate upon it. All these blessings tell me towards it up. No, 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 don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. While you chase illusional things. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. While you chase illusional things. I wanna leave Africa, pray for a visa. Forget my country, feigning amnesia. Maybe one day I'll party in Ibiza. Maybe buy myself a beach house in Indonesia. So I'm selling my inheritance for a quick meal. I really don't care if it's a shady deal. Cross 7 seas if I need to. An overloaded lifeboat, not an issue. Dollar signs in my eyes, hypnotized, ill advised. Never listen to the wise. Grass seems greener on the other side, and I wanna make it mine. Stop the moment, meditate upon it. Oh, His blessings tell me to see that. No, 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 don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing while you chase illusional things. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing while you chase illusional things. Yeah, 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 yeah. Number all your blessings. Do you see the silver lining? Yeah. Oh, number all your blessings. Oh, do you see the silver lining? Yeah. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. While you chase illusional things.
Thank you very much.
I'd like you to give another round of applause to JC Muyonju, my associate. Trust me, the first human micro stand I've ever seen. Yeah? He was feeling the music, I could see. So, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. My name is Martin Asingre. I'm also a founder and now a partner in Bytelex. Now, the next tech legal product we want to introduce, showcase to all of you, is actually targeted to the legal fraternity, to our brothers and sisters in the profession. This is called CLE Online. CLE, who I have not yet heard of the term, is Continuing Legal Education. This is basically a set of activities, seminars, workshops designed for lawyers to continue getting better, to continue getting more knowledge, and then once you attend them, you get certain points, and you're able to renew your practice certificate. When your lawyer tells you he has gone for CLE, you will know what he's talking about. Since the inception of CLE, the method has been the same. A calendar is released, the lawyer will look at the activities he wants to attend, he picks out 1, 2, 3, whichever he wants to attend, puts them down in his diary. On that day, he cancels everything at that time, attends the event, participates, leaves the event, and that's how usually CLE is performed. Now, as Raymond said, the opportunity to innovate inspires us. When you see something that you can add on to, make it more efficient, make it simpler, make it more accessible, so it's an interesting process. And since most of you are entrepreneurs here, and I think you experience the same thing. You see a need, and you try to provide it. So in our fraternity, we saw that need and wanted to make it simpler for a lawyer to access CLE training products, to attend CLE. And this actually happened just last year. A friend of mine called George, brilliant lawyer, he's in Masindi, but very passionate about intellectual property. So last year there was an intellectual property symposium just here at Serena. He had paid for it, big money for it. He had planned to attend. But just 3 days before the symposium, this client is served with, if every lawyer would know this, a notice to show cause, and I think that is one thing you know you cannot avoid. When they serve it on your client, he's supposed to appear in court, otherwise they're going to arrest him usually, if you can't pay the money. So he couldn't attend after paying this money. Yeah, he gives me the call and say, hey, Martin, sign for me. When I sign, no, that's a different thing. Because it's illegal. But when you could see George wanted to attend, whether he got the points again, you don't know. But he didn't get the knowledge. And that's what we're trying to innovate around. CLE will allow a lawyer to be at his workstation, to be at his law firm, to be at his office, and be able to access training products. You don't have to move from Masindi to Kampala. You don't have to move from Gulu to Kampala. You don't have to move from Kampala to Gulu. You'll be in your office, just enter, go on our platform, you'll be able to access the same product. We are working with the stakeholders, of course, ULS. We're working with the Law Council, we're working with those partner firms and experts in the industry. Because we know that a product like this, you cannot do it alone. We need training products. We cannot create all the training products. You will listen to accredit our products. We all know that. We know that there are a lot of lawyers, a lot of brilliant minds, a lot of people in the industries, different industries, even the startups. All these are products that can be put on the CLE online. You'll be able to be in your office, you'll be able to access these products. And then after that, you'll be able to get a certificate of completion, being able to accredit your course, being able to get those points, being able to get that knowledge. That's basically CLE online. And enough with the talking, we have a demonstration just to show you it's still a demo. We hope that this shall come out as soon as practically possible, most likely next year. But we know this is going to be a great improvement in CLE. Please play the demonstration. As you can see right now, only courses would be ADR, construction, energy, oil and gas, and media technology. Click on one of the modules. And it's here. Of course, the products, as CLE products are usually, some of them will be for paying. And you can see there will be a price point there. Of course, the expectations, you know what you're getting in for. You'll be able to click it. You will be able to sign up from your office, sign up from wherever you are. Now, you know CLE, I think, has been in inception since around 2004. And this product, we believe that it's going to be the greatest advancement in delivering CLE, basically, since CLE. So, all lawyers here, I know it's something that you have had the challenge of. At times you want to attend, you can't attend. Even right now, even if we may not be able yet to be accredited by ULS, we're going to roll out a beta version where we'll put our own courses, where if you're interested in the course, you'll be able to access it. So, get ready for the next generation of CLE, and thank you very much. But before I leave the stage, I want to set up for the next product we want to talk about. We've talked about data, about information, all these need protection. We cannot be ready to take up your information if we're not ready to secure it. So my next partner here is going to talk about the cybersecurity state in our country.
Oh, thank you, Martin. I hope you guys are having a good time today, right? Yeah, it's cool. Well, the next thing I'm talking about is the cybersecurity report. This is a digest we have taken close to 12 months to prepare, starting from around January 2017. We've been on that course because we realized that most of the clients we had were technology-related clients. So we embarked on this project. As some of you may be aware, today we are living in a digital age. And in the digital age, we play by different rules. In the real world, it's a different story. Because, for example, look at this. Imagine you're at your home. You have a wall fence. Inside your wall fence, you have your house. Inside your house, you have walls. Inside the walls, you have bedrooms. Inside your bedroom, you have a suitcase. You see, there are different levels of security at all levels. But when you come to the cyberspace, it's quite a different thing. Because we have gadgets. And these gadgets are connected to a network. It could be on the internet, Bluetooth, intranet, and you need to secure your work. So as here at Bytelex, because we want to make sure all our clients are secure and safe when they're dealing with us and when they're dealing with other people, and because we are moved with the idea of innovation and building radical ideas, we came up with this cybersecurity report. In real terms, it's a digest because it's a compilation of articles, different articles that are focusing on different aspects of cybersecurity. The first article, in brief, we discuss the legal obligations of cybersecurity, both at the international and the local level. Now, we go down to the history of cybersecurity, all the way from the time when the first crimes were reported around 1990 in England, all the way to current times. You realize that at that point, that we have currently 2 international conventions which tackle this issue here of cybersecurity. The Budapest Convention, which was developed by the European Council, that's around 2000 and came into force around 2004.
and then the Malabo Convention, which is an initiative of the African Union. Uganda, as it is right now, we do not subscribe to any of those convention signatories. But we borrowed those ideas or principles which were espoused in those laws, and we have brought it down here to our local laws. For example, we have the computer protection, the Data Protection Act, which deals with personal data. We have other different laws. So that article will explain much more of that. Then the second article is data protection obligations of data controllers and data owners. That article is basically focused on business owners, how businesses can control the data of their clients when they're using it, especially personal data. Look at things like your national ID, your residence, that sort of personal information. And if someone abuses that kind of data, what are the repercussions? And at that juncture, I'm proud to say, we were the only law firm that was consulted in the enactment process of the Data Privacy Act of 2019, and we gave in our inputs. Though the law has just come into force around 2 months ago, we'll see what effect it has in the ecosystem. Then the third article is digital piracy, protection of software, movies, and music. I'm sure all of us are culprits of that. How many of you guys download movies through torrents? How many of you buy movies from these libraries which are along the street? So in that article, we discussed the history of digital piracy and also how piracy has made businesses collapse. For example, I don't know how many of you have heard of the company called NEC, which was a very popular company in the early 2010s, which suffered from what we call brand jacking, where third parties stole their intellectual property in China and they were using the name of the company to market products. So there we analyzed those issues, and then also we put forward recommendations that may be adopted by businesses to protect piracy, especially artists. Then the fourth article is the weakest link in cybersecurity. If I may ask someone from the crowd, what do you think is the weakest link in cybersecurity? Any volunteer? Yes, that's the correct answer. So in that article, we discuss how human behavior has affected cybersecurity as a whole, how businesses have employees, and these employees may be compromised to give off company data, or in the social perspective. For example, when you're using your WhatsApp or Facebook, you have seen in red paper the issue of nudes leaking and such sort of issues. We discussed that how human behaviors have been used to change or the effect of outcomes of different things. For example, the Mueller report, I'm sure you've heard about it, how they talk about the Russians influencing US election during the Trump campaign. Yeah, so that's something there. Then the fifth article is cybercrime. We analyzed the criminal justice system globally. Remember, I talked about the international legal obligations, but now here, as some of you who are lawyers may be aware, we have under our constitution what we call the principle of legality, whereby a person cannot be prosecuted if that law is not prescribed within the laws. Now, when you look at cybersecurity, it's not just a territorial issue, it's cross-border. In the US, there may be a hacker or someone who is how can I say? There can be a hacker or a perpetrator of a wrong in another jurisdiction, and you want to handle that issue by maybe prosecuting or suing them in the civil courts. So we analyze the framework of the criminal justice internationally and locally, and how governments cooperate together to come up with a solution for their civil citizens. Then the last article focuses on intermediaries, the liabilities of intermediaries. There we discuss how intermediaries such as the hosts, those are people who host websites or internet service providers such as Airtel or MTN, to what extent can they be liable subject to the laws or the different laws that are being enacted or that apply to them. Yes, and finally, before I close, I would like to say that we believe that this digest will be an insightful tool for you, our customers, the government, and all other people who will have access to it in order to to build a cyber secure environment. And finally, I'm a basketballer. A certain famous basketballer once said, his name is Joe Johnson, that the more you secure your information, your laptops, your phones, if you secure it, then all of us shall be guaranteed to have a good cybersecurity system. Yes, thank you. And at this moment, Raymond, please.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Martin. This afternoon we told you we're celebrating a culture of innovation, but also trying to reveal our brand to you, what it's all about, and who we are. I'd like to recap this by talking about the different products that we've seen this afternoon. The Shield. I'd like to use this language. We think it's going to transform finance across East Africa. Like I mentioned, it's East Africa's first early stage instrument. Forget about the term sheets, those are all. But we're talking about early stage. Then we talked about access. Again, we think this is going to change how companies comply with the due diligence process and other legal requirements. Then we also had a brief session on CLE only. We think this is the biggest step of CLE since CLE. Beyond going to class or going to conferences and learning from guest speakers, CLE online is going to make it possible for you to do what you would have done in a class in the comfort of your home. And we've given you a glimpse of where we think cybersecurity is going and what the future holds in the cybersecurity space. So we want to get involved by giving you the first digest as a reference manual in the market. Again, for us, it is being able to jump into a gap and find a solution. We can talk, but it comes down to finding a solution. That's why the theme for this conference has been, when lawyers innovate, they build ready ideas. Thank you, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. I would like to invite the team to the stage so that we get to know who each and every one is. So right next to me is Martin Singwire. Martin is the earliest partner in Bytelex and the founder. Next to him is Jordan Loko. Jordan is also a partner at Bytelex. And right next to him is our newest hire, the only guy with the V-neck, and is our associate in Rwanda. Again, when we mentioned we are in Rwanda, we must have said, well, where is the Rwanda team? It's not just him. There's someone else in Rwanda having our live stream there. And then right next to Trust is Irene Ojiri, partner at Bytelex. Then we also have Jordan George Chiwanuka, an associate as well in the Uganda office. And then Mark, a paralegal and an aspiring lawyer. So this is the team at Bytelex. We are ambitious, we are growing, we are innovating. That's all we can promise to you. So for the rest of the program, we thought we wanted to celebrate our 5 years with you, and we want to take this out beyond the boring cybersecurity reports and the Shield and all those things, which you can read in your free time when you have the time to do it. We have organized a cocktail for you, so you're welcome to attend our cocktail. It shall be on top of Safe Border Rooftop. If you know where the cab is, then right after the cab, you should be able to find our cocktail. So that please don't leave. We expect that since there's a bit of a walk, we hope you can walk with us there. putting it that way. Yeah. Otherwise, thank you for coming. And then one last thing, as you came in, there's a survey. And again, there were a couple of people that had challenges with the survey, and they were asking, why are they giving us a survey? We thought we're coming here for just an event for them to tell us whatever they had. Again, for us, the innovation process starts from learning and understanding what you need, what clients need. So that survey helps us build products, build things that you really care about and matter about. So that's why we did the survey. And if it offended some of you, we apologize. But the reason it's there is to help us improve as a firm, but also to help us innovate for you. Again, one of the things you'll notice is this is a very long journey to innovate for an ecosystem that is really young and growing. So we want to be a part of that. And you can be a part of that as well right now by helping us fill that survey. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.
For everything I wanna have, I am transfixed, addicted to the fancy. They know that I am this summer captive to the glamour in the magazines, flashy lifestyles I see on TV screens. No, that's not enough, I need the validation just to get some self-esteem. I'm looking for the likes, follows, like an occupation. To be admired is my dream. Yearning for more, yearning for more. Everything I have, I always ignore. The grass seems greener on the other side, and I wanna make it mine. Stop for a minute, life celebrated, live in the moment, meditate upon it. All these blessings tell me towards it about. No, 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 don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. While you chase illusional things. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. Don't lose a beautiful thing. While you chase illusional things. I wanna leave Africa, pray for a visa, forget my country, feigning amnesia. Maybe one day I'll party in Ibiza, maybe buy myself a beach house in Indonesia. So I'm selling my inheritance for a quick meal. I really don't care if it's a shady deal. Cross 7 seas if I need to. An overloaded lifeboat, not an issue. Dollar signs in my eyes, hypnotized, ill advised. Never listen to the wise. Grass seems greener on the other side.